Okay, so last night we got down to 7 degrees, I think it was. Well, I don't know, I guess by 4:30 it was 7 degrees. So I made a mistake last night. It's been a while since I've talked about this, but this is my water tank inside here. We have a electric pump, like an RV pump, that pumps water from this tank into the house through a camping on-demand water heater. And that's how we get our water. Now we fill the water through the well, and I'll show you that in a minute. I know a lot of people who are going to be new or have watched this channel for a long time knows exactly what I'm talking about here. But for the new ones, just to be clear, just go through the steps. So we run it through an RV hose. The water goes from the pump through an RV hose into the house, and that keeps us from having too many leaks. Now, the pump I have on it currently cracked over the summer. One of the pressure switches wore out. I forget what they're called anyway, so I replaced it, and when I lifted the pump up, I cracked the pump, so it has this little leak ever since then. So we have a switch. It's an electric pump. It's a DC 12 volt pump, so we have a switch that after we get done using the pump, we shut the pump off, and that keeps it from doing that every time it loses pressure. So we were going to replace the pump after this winter anyways, and the reason is we usually mess up the pump. It's usually always my fault. Just like this time, I broke the pump, and now last night I made a mistake, and now it's froze. The tank has never froze. I don't care how many times I say that. Somebody will say, what you need to do is bury the tank. It has nothing to do with the tank. I mean, the tank will get ice in it, but it's never froze solid. It just doesn't get that cold for that long. The other thing I do is I fill it with warm well water before it freezes, before the hard freeze, and we've gotten down to -6 before we had problems with that pump. And this year my plan was I got this little bitty, 70 watt heater. I mean, it's just a tiny little thing. And so last year I ran that heater. I put it inside, put a cat carrier over it, so it would funnel all that heat right onto the pump and the plumbing, the RV hoses. It worked great. So we also have ventilation right here inside the house. So in between the shower and the wall is about, a foot or two space. And we have a shelf in there that holds the propane tank for the water heater, and the pump, the battery for the pump is here. Of course, we have a charger, a little trickle charger for that battery. And we just leave that trickle charger on, and the battery has never went dead. It's, 5 years old now? It only needs to run 6 amps for a short period of time, and then that trickle charger just keeps charging. So anyway, then I have a fan hooked to that ventilation on the other end, and that fan blows warmer air, house temperature air, into here. But it's got that constant hum to it, just constant. So I leave it off until we need it. Well, last night I knew we needed it, and I just forgot to turn it on. So we are froze up this morning. So that is not a big deal. And that's the thing I keep trying to explain to people. They just don't seem to fathom this. This is a little nice convenience. I mean, having the tank here with the RV pump that takes water right in the house. It's really nice convenience. I still have to fill it. And so how I fill the tank every day that it's sunny, and I didn't do it today because we're frozen, I didn't see the point, is I run a hose from the well over the tank, and I fill the tank. The tank runs off solar panels. So, the well runs off solar panels. So on a sunny day, I can turn the well on, shoots out water, and I fill the tank. Now, you can't run the well at night. It would use too much battery. You have to have a ton of battery to run the well at night. So it's easier, more energy efficient to fill the tank when it's sunny, and use that little RV pump off a little battery with a trickle charger to take it into the house. I mean, this does 15 gallons a minute. That little pump does like 3 gallons a minute. I mean, you just don't need a lot of water just beating you to death in the house. Now, what I did, so this doesn't freeze, there is no water in this pipe, even though I filled 2 buckets, a pressure cooker, and a pressure canner, and I don't know, coffee pot, whatever else I filled up. There's no water in the pipe. And the reason is about 70 feet down, I drilled a little hole, probably about the size of my pinky, into this pipe. And so every time you shut off the well, water drains right back down into the well. So that never freezes. It is 100% guaranteed that it's going to work. So that is my backup. Now, if I wanted to take a shower, if I needed to take a shower, what I could do is hook a hose to this, open a window, run a hose into the water heater, and just turn this on, and then I have water. I mean, you just have to leave it on. And you couldn't shut the shower off either. You'd have to leave it on because you don't want to, what they call deadhead this. You want water going past that pump all the time so it stays cool. Otherwise, it'll steam up. The water inside the pump will steam up, and you'll feel it with the plumbing. You'll hear it, you'll feel it, and then you know that there's steam or air in the pump, and that'll burn it up. So that's how we get our water. Well, I mean, I froze it, so the temperature's already coming up in there. It got down to 27 in that where the pump is, 27 degrees. So it was just 5 degrees colder than it should have been. Wasn't a lot, even though we got down to 7 degrees. And now the temperature's 28 degrees, and we're probably, I don't know, we're probably 17 degrees outside right now. The other thing that we had, the other problem we had, was it was windy. And so that wind just blows right in there. You know, people would assume this is all sealed up. It's not sealed up. I've got insulation around it, but it's not sealed up. So wind still gets in there. So it was just a mistake. I mean, I could have even ran the generator last night and ran that little heater. I just forgot the fan. That's all I did. You know, it happens. Things happen. But like I said, we're not out of water. Still drinking coffee. We're fine. We didn't have to run to the store and buy any water. So as far as temperature goes, things are a lot nicer now the cat has passed away as far as the wood stove. Let's see. The cat hated the cold. She just hated it. So, you know, I probably didn't let the house get below 67 degrees when she was around, because she'd cuddle up with me, and then she'd just keep me awake, you know, trying to get warm. So it was just better to keep the house warm. Well, now she's gone. We got the dogs. The strays came in, and they actually prefer the cooler temperatures in the house than they do the warmer temperatures. So what we do is, when the house gets down to 67 degrees, 62 degrees or something like that, we turn the wood stove on, and then it gets up to about 80 degrees, and the wood stove, of course, dies off. So we let it go back down to 67, 62, and we do that 2 or 3 times a day. Well, last night at 2 o'clock it was 60 degrees. It was 2:30, and I get up at 4:30. So here it is at the temperature that I normally start the wood stove. Now, if the cat would have been around, I would have gotten up at 2:30 and start the wood stove. But I checked on the dog that was laying in the bed. The other dog likes laying underneath the bed. We have a little dog mattress down there for it. That's Girly, and she sleeps on that. And so I checked the dog in the bed, dead asleep, not cold, not cuddling, not doing anything, just asleep, not bothering me. So I thought, well, I'm gonna let the temperature continue to drop. So when I got up at 4:30, it was 50 degrees in the house. It was chilly. Now I've got 2 blankets, so I'm fine. Carolyn, she actually knocks those covers off. And I asked her, was she cold? She said no. So, if everybody's comfortable, including the dogs, then I don't see why we would need to waste the wood. And it really would have been a waste. You figure I just loaded the stove up as normal, and as it started to burn off, it got up to about 60 degrees as that initial load died off. And then we threw some bigger chunks in that's hard to split. The knotty wood. we threw that in, or I threw that in, threw 2 pieces in. That was oak. And it burned probably for another 2 hours, just simmering is all it did. It wasn't even really hot flames. And that got us up to 80 degrees, and I think we're just now, here it is, probably noon, and it's just now starting to drop temperature. So we're probably 75 degrees by now. So by 4 o'clock, we'll probably have to start it again. I mean, we're kind of off sync right now. That's the troubling part. I like starting it about 2 o'clock. Maybe I will start it at 2 o'clock, just because if I start at 2, then I can start it at 8 o'clock at night, and then that gets us through the night. But when we start at 4 o'clock, that's pretty much guaranteeing that I got to get up in the middle of the night to start the wood stove. So I think, you know, it's just a routine, a pattern you got to get into. It takes you a couple years to figure it out. And I mean, I think this year is the first year that we've actually have mastered the wood stove. Of course, I messed up the water, so I haven't mastered everything. That was just stupidity. I knew I needed to turn that on. So, well, I don't know what else I'm going to talk about. There's not a lot going on. It's cold, so I'm going to jump off here. So if you'll click this up next box, take you to a video over to my other channel. I really appreciate it. Go check it out. It's a brand new video today. So hope I can inspire you. Stay warm so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.